Yeah, it's going to be in our website. That's a nice shirt.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Today is Tuesday, June 11th, 2019, and we are going to start the Public Safety Code Enforcement and Neighborhood Empowerment meeting. If we can have the staff call the roll call.
Chair Mayor Pro Tem Juan Villegas.
Present.
Vice Chair Councilmember David Peñalosa.
Present.
Councilmember Cecilia Iglesias. Here.
Thank you very much. If everyone would please stand, face the flag, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. I would like to start by welcoming Councilmember Cecilia Iglesias, joining us here on the Public Safety Committee. Welcome.
Welcome.
And I'm going to start off with the public comments. Do we have any public comments? Haven't received other than these on the items? No. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 1, which is the approval of the minutes from the April 23rd, 2019 meeting.
I'll move it.
I'll second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. And we will move on to item number 2, which is receive loud and ruckus noise ordinance update. It's going to be Deputy Chief Eric Polson from the Police Department. Deputy Chief.
I'm sorry, I thought you were... There we go. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman, Councilwoman. Just here to provide a brief update on the loud and raucous noise ordinance. This ordinance was enhanced earlier this year to add some additional bite essentially to residents who are in violation of this municipal code. In 2018, we responded to 5,401 loud music calls with negligible enforcement, quite frankly, and a lot of it had to do with the lack of teeth in the prior ordinance. We worked with the city manager, the city attorney's office, and enhanced the municipal code to add some additional enhancements. This municipal code was adopted April 2nd of this year. The enhancement, particularly that was nice, was it allowed per calendar year an initial warning once the police department responded, and every subsequent response would incrementally increase in terms of fines from $100 to $1,000 within the calendar year. On May 3rd, after 30 days after the adoption of the ordinance, the police department began enforcing the new municipal code. During that time, our information technology division at the police department included and developed a new reporting system in our CAD system in our police vehicles, which definitely changed the way that we respond to these and the way that we can report out on these. It's a very, very excellent tool. And since May 3rd, since we have been enforcing this new ordinance, we've responded to over 700 loud music calls, resulting in over 200 noise violations. That's approximately, just under 30% of the loud calls that we're responding to we're conducting some sort of enforcement on. At this pace, we are going to significantly improve where we were in the years past. And again, I'd just like to thank Mayor Pro Tem. I know you worked quite a bit on this new ordinance, and it appears to be, although a short reporting period here, successful thus far.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. Real quick, I'm going to pause. I apologize. I do have a speaker card on this item, and if Ms. Esther Fonseca would like to make her comments, you have 3 minutes, please.
Yes, good evening. With respect to the ordinance, the amendments to the ordinance that were made, I would like to take the opportunity to acknowledge and commend Santa Ana PD command staff for all of its efforts towards the implementation and enforcement of this amendment to this ordinance. I would particularly like to acknowledge Commander Claiborne, who was assigned this detail, who I've been working with. Overall, I personally am seeing very positive results with respect to the enforcement of the code. For example, and this is typical of, unfortunately, of the area where I live, Artesia Pilar, this last Saturday in a approximately 3 square block area, there were 4 loud parties going on that I called on. The response time was excellent on all of these calls, and on 3 of these calls, after the officer responded, I was told the case was pulled, a citation was issued, and a case number was assigned. On all of these 3 calls, after when I went outside, because it was like a war zone, after about an hour at 9:10, I went out and no music was heard anywhere. They had shut down. The 4th call was not so successful, but overall that is a major victory, because before the department was actually enforcing this ordinance, it would take 3 or 4 calls on my part, and sometimes the party was basically shut down at the end of the evening when the people that were having the party wanted to shut down the party. So again, this is a major, major change. It's a major shift. It's outstanding. So again, I hope this continues overall, and so that the community gets the message, because in my estimation, in my experience over the long time I've been working on this issue, what made the difference here very definitely is the direct contact by the police officer, actually getting off of his car, actually approaching the people, and either issuing the citation, or actually it is a citation where there's the initial warning. And in most of these, that's the case. So it was that, I think, definitely that's turning the tide. Because when you have an officer that's coming up to you and asking you for your name, your address, your information, and telling them they're going to get something in the mail, a citation, and explaining the process of the graduated fines, that's what's making the difference here. And again, for the first time, this is occurring, and I want to acknowledge the chief and the command staff for all of their efforts in this regard, and going forward, hopefully that this does continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca, for your comments. Deputy Chief, you can continue if there's anything you want to add.
No, sir, just a brief update. We've only been enforcing this municipal code for 60 days or so, so it is just a brief update on where we are thus far.
Great, thank you. Is there any comments or questions from the council members?
Mr. Chairman.
Vice Chair, go ahead.
Thank you. I just had a question with just the phone calls, Chief, Deputy Chief. How much time does responding to one of these calls usually take on average by one of our officers, whether it's music or whatnot? Because I'm very happy with this enhancement, and we need to have as much, like you guys said, as much teeth as possible to go after these noise complaints, which I'm very happy. But I see, 5,400 loud music calls that we responded to in 2018. That's like about 14 a day. So I'm just thinking, because I've taken a couple ride-alongs, and we see the noise complaint calls come in, and I just see the little clock just ticking, and so to have an average of 14 a day, that which, if that's the case, great. But I mean, I'm just saying, how long does this usually take?
Excellent question. To put things in perspective, thus far this year, I believe our communications division has received over 97,000 calls. So 5,400 all of last year that we actually responded to, although it is a good number. The level of call volume that we experience here in the city. It is a lower priority call for us, certainly not a priority one, a life and death situation. I don't have the exact number for you, Councilman, on the time frame, but I can tell you it's not under 7 minutes. I can tell you it's certainly greater than that, I believe, and it's somewhere in the 30-minute to 45-minute time range is the average for the priority type of call. Another thing that I wouldn't be able to answer is the response time for these specific types of calls, just the priority.
Yeah, I wasn't referring to response.
I'm sorry.
How long does it take when the officer approaches the home or wherever the noise is coming from? Like, is that like a 30-minute to an hour conversation with the homeowner? Is it just like a quick 30-second, like, hey, somebody called, lower your volume, here's your ticket? I'm just trying to.
Another very good question. You can see where my mind is with the priority for response times.
Response time wasn't what I was asking.
It does vary. It depends. It could be as quick as 10 minutes if you are able to make immediate contact and immediate compliance and obtain what you need to obtain. If it's a large scale party, let's say, it could certainly take much longer if that's in fact the route that we took. It really just depends. I would say on average anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour, depending on the size of the party.
Yeah, because I just know that whatever case-by-case basis, it could remove an officer and tie him up in this case for a long time, but I figured something like a music complaint isn't wouldn't be as time-consuming as other causes, is what I was trying to get at, right? Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councilmember Iglesias?
So you said you've cited over 200 noise violations. So are you, the 100 level, 250 level, what?
The vast majority of those are actually warnings, Councilwoman.
Okay.
And I believe that we're in the 15 to 20 are now in the actual monetary stages of being fined.
Oh, okay. Cool. So then it's just a warning first and then they continue it then. Well, that's good then,
Yes.
so, okay.
One final question. Is that a warning on the same night? Or do they have to respond on the same night to get that first $100 violation? Or is it, I had a party on Friday, you guys came out, gave me a warning, then on Sunday I had another party, and then is that another warning, or is that?
D, all of the above, Councilman. So if we respond multiple times in the same evening, we gave you a warning, you were provided that warning. If we have a return call, we will issue another noise violation, which will result in a $100 fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Police work, you show up to a call, it's loud noise, you never know what you're going to get. So that's just the way it is. And Deputy Chief Paulson, you're also on the next item, which is item number 3, and that is discuss the 4th of July illegal fireworks. And I do have a speaking card here, and I have one from Esther Fonseca. You'd like to approach the microphone? Miss Esther?
I did, while I was waiting for the meeting, I did have an opportunity to look at the presentation that's going to be made by Mr. Deputy Chief Paulson, which is outstanding, by the way, not to take anything away from your presentation, but it is extremely comprehensive. Everything on there I have thought about it, have mentioned at different meetings, so that is a very comprehensive overall approach that I hope will be effective. One of the comments, the reason I wanted to make a comment is that last year I happened to have attended 4th of July party that was given by one of my members of my church in Tustin. So around 8:30 at night when I was headed back to Santa Ana, it was very disturbing. You could literally from the border see there was like a cloud of smoke over the city and fireworks going everywhere. It really was a war zone. One of the ladies in my neighborhood, as I was driving into my neighborhood, I saw something I had never seen before. The way I can describe it, the only way, it looked like a miniature grenade launcher. And these guys were launching these large illegal fireworks. They were hitting the trees that have resin that can easily light up like a torch, aiming them at homes. It was horrific. And navigating my car towards my house was really bad. It was terrible. One of the women in my neighborhood had called the police earlier, and the dispatcher literally said to her, "Lady, the whole city is on fire." In other words, you want us to respond to yours? Well, get in line. The comment that I would like to make is that I truly believe that another aspect, which I'm sure the chief is going to be doing, is my belief is overwhelm them with power. In other words, in a show of force. As many officers as you can get out in the field on the 4th of July, using your overtime budget, as many as you can get out there, just a tremendous show of force would be outstanding. Because us, the residents of, like myself, we're literally overwhelmed and we literally have to hunker down in our homes. You're afraid to go out. It's such a dangerous situation. And these people are doing it at will. So if you can get a tremendous show of force, get those people out, the officers out there, take the fireworks away, and then give them a $1,000 citation for the following year, I would like to believe that that's going to make a tremendous difference. And again, these are steps, but definitely in the right direction. So please, anything you can do to get, even in light of the shortage of the officers, as many as you can get out there in the field, that would be outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca. And Deputy Chief, you can go ahead with your presentation.
Before I begin, my focus is on the outreach efforts that we've made, which is really the education piece. But Ms. Fonseca actually brings up very valid points, and we are in fact it's a two-prong approach. It's the education and enforcement behind this. The outreach component is simply the education piece. However, I would like to touch on a little bit of our enforcement component of it, which obviously comes after the education piece. We do, in fact, call all hands on deck for the 4th of July, not just the 4th of July, but actually beginning July 2nd, July 3rd, July 4th, and July 5th. It is department-wide deployment. Now, we have to have some officers on reserve for major emergencies, but we have a significant number of officers who are normally not working on these days, not working these hours, called in to work special details and special enforcement. So that is our intent. Enforcement and confiscation is our focus this year during this deployment period between July 2nd and July 5th. So I agree 110%. And again, my presentation tonight is more on the outreach, but I just wanted to provide you with that, hopefully a little bit of confidence of what's coming in terms of the enforcement. In terms of our outreach, our community education plan, it is comprehensive. I would love to sit here and take credit for it, but it is actually years and years and years of building up to this. Many people in this room have contributed to what we've done in the past and what we are currently doing. We can read this together, but it's a very comprehensive approach in terms of the education plan. We're certainly going to promote the anti-illegal fireworks campaign at our vendor and wholesale meeting, which actually occurs tomorrow evening here at City Hall. The anonymous tip line has been activated. 714-245-8771 is the number. We are using various social media platforms to post alerts. We're working out of the chief's office, and that will actually begin as early as tomorrow to start pushing that information. We have PSAs on YouTube, as well as the library here at City Hall. Any place where we can roll our public service announcement in terms of the safety and service of illegal fireworks, we're doing. We have distributed Safe and Sane flyers to all of the Santa Ana schools. Zero tolerance and Safe and Sane flyers have been distributed to all of our 7-Elevens here in the city. Good working relationship and partnership with that business. All of our rec areas and our partners over at Parks and Recs. We also have purchased advertisements in our Spanish circulars, which will help reach that demographic of our community. And our neighborhood watch and our association meetings, we're continuing to push our flyers, push our PSAs, and just verbalize what we're doing. And any community member that wants one, we provide it to them, and they're in our police station here at this public meeting. And we've also reached out to Parks and Recs once again, as well as the Auto Mall marquee, to provide information to our public in terms of Safe and Sane in Spanish and English. So that's what we've done in the past. That's what we're doing again this year to duplicate that. We're working very closely with our partners at the Orange County Fire Authority. Glad Chief Henry is here to partner and speak on any of our education and outreach efforts. Chief?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been working with the police department for the last month or so, and jointly working and putting our educator that's assigned to this division is actively working with the police department staff, and we've jointly put together the flyers and all of that, and we've been working with your staff and moving forward with that as well.
Chief Henry, our city manager was in here last July, and we had a very serious incident. And like Ms. Fonseca, I think she also talked about the aggressiveness of the members of the public. If you could just briefly speak to what happened last year, so our city manager can be aware.
Yes, and please offer your side as a police as well. So on South Lyon between McFadden and Chestnut, across Warren, our units responded to a reported palm trees on fire, and there's a serious apartment complexes over there. While our personnel were engaged in suppression activities, more palm trees got set on fire. And the crowd became agitated when we tried to ask them to stop, so we requested PD. And when the PD got there, they started basically antagonizing the police officers. And at one point, unfortunately, they threw a large illegal firework. It's like a quarter stick of dynamite. And just by the grace of God, it landed next to an officer, actually, and the officer was able to get it off of him before it occurred. At that point, I believe you guys called for all hands, like a checkmate or something, right? I remember seeing Commander Gaminsky out there, and basically we, the PD came in with force and with allied agencies, right, CHP, sheriff, everyone showed up and basically had to shut the street down. I guess that's a fair assessment. So we're hoping that doesn't happen again. So
And that firework disabled a vehicle, police vehicle, Chief, when it went off. So, we can't have that happen again. We need to.
right. I can tell you, I know we'll be opening up the Emergency Operations Center. I'll be there with Santa Ana PD. We'll be coordinating our efforts, as we've done in the years past, to ensure that we have a unified response, what's safe for our members as well as the officers in the community. So we're working towards that as well.
Thank you, Chief Henry. Go ahead, Deputy Chief, continue.
So in addition to years past, we've also added a couple extra components to our outreach efforts. We've been able to hit our city-sponsored carnivals, 3 thus far, and we have 3 more future events that we will also be attending. Our community engagement team will be attending that will also continue to distribute this information. Again, we're going to be presenting the public service announcements to all community meetings, neighborhood watch groups, and neighborhood association meetings. It was repetitive, I apologize. And we're going to be working with our partners at El Super, Northgate, El Toro, Stater Brothers, basically all of our grocers here in the city, in hopes of at least accessing more of our population and educating more and more folks out there. So anywhere that we can get out there and distribute this information and educate is going to be a good thing. In addition to these steps, we're working closely with the city manager's office. The city manager's office will be mailing, if they have not done so already, council as well as key stakeholders throughout the city. There will be a global email to city employees. The city will be using their social media platforms in addition to the police department's social media platforms. Also, the city's website carousel banner. I checked before this meeting. It is not posted there yet, but I've been promised that it's going to be going up here relatively soon. And then we've added some marquees in terms of hoping to spread the word at Main Place and down at the Auto Mall. So in terms of our outreach, that's what we've done thus far, and open any questions.
Great, thank you. Any council members have any questions for the staff? Go ahead, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Can I ask a quick question? Can you give that anonymous tip number again, please? It wasn't in the presentation.
I was just about to ask that. Thank you.
My memory was correct. It's 714-245-8771.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. Just wanted to ask, what have we, proposed or planned to how would we respond to a similar incident? God forbid it happens again that we had last year. Because know the community, and I know how aggressive they can get when it comes to fireworks and 4th of July. There's kids around. And it's a bad situation to be in. And I wouldn't I'm just trying to see what do you do as a police officer, as a firefighter, in those instances when you see that there's children amongst these groups launching bottle rockets, launching fireworks. One of my friends is a police officer in Anaheim, and I asked him, he was working, and I asked, well, what are you guys, doing? And he said, we were told to just park under a bridge somewhere and don't come out, kind of because it's because of how aggressive it can get and dangerous for all of you guys out there and women. So I just wanted to point that out, and so you guys can answer that in a bit. But also with the supermarkets, I didn't see them on here. I'm not sure if we were just restricted to these, but there's also Food for Less and Smart and Final and others that we should also, which I'm sure you included them, but they're just not on.
Quite honestly, it's baby steps as well. We only have so much capacity and a lot of area to cover. So
okay.
If we can get out to them, we certainly will, but we wanted to be reasonable with our expectations.
Right. And with the social media stuff, again, I'll come back to it. I know we've talked about the PIO and both city manager's office and the police department, but we got to remember that for the social media platforms, when you post something, you'll only distribute it to the 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 followers that we have, or I know the police department has a little bit more, but even those, they won't all see it. You'll have a couple hundred the ones that comment on police officer department or city comments frequently are the ones that are going to see it because of Facebook's algorithm and the way they target people. So it's very important that we, like I mentioned at the last Public Safety Committee, that we sponsor these posts by putting money behind it, a couple $100,
boosting,
so that anyone, there's 500,000 people in the city. I'm sure that's my rough estimate, and only a couple hundred people are probably seeing these posts that we're putting out there. Not everyone's going on the city's website. And the people that are more than likely shooting these illegal fireworks are not on the city's website, are not following the police department, are not. We got to be able to sponsor these posts so that everybody, whether they like the police department's Facebook page or the city's Facebook page, they're all seeing it, and they'll constantly see it in their face from time to time, every time they open up their social media platforms. So that's just a no. I'm not sure if we've had any, if we looked into that, Chief, from the last meeting.
Yes, we have. In fact, if I could have you, Councilman, and my assistant over here talk algorithms at some point, that would be ideal. Oh, and Miss Daisy as well, at the city manager's office. If the three of you can get together and compare notes on algorithms and boosting and all that, that would be ideal. But we've done it not necessarily on the public campaign in terms of firework response, but on the hiring. We have done it there already.
Because it's also it's not something that we require an additional staffing, but it's a long process since we're a government entity. You got to go through Facebook's. It's like a. Now I think it might be too late to get that authorization from Facebook because it's considered political because it's a government entity. You'll have to go through Facebook's checking process to make sure that we're the verified account for the city, the verified account for the police department, and then be able to boost these posts. So whenever we could have that meeting, I'd be happy to.
Yes, please.
Councilmember Penalosa, I'm happy to report that both the city of Santa Ana and the police department's Facebook pages have been authenticated. Okay. So we do have the ability to promote those posts. Yeah. And combined with the police department and our Facebook page, we have 50,000 followers organically, and we will be, the city manager's office will be paying for sponsored posts to boost this information, and we have a plan to post this information 3 times a week in June, and then all of the 1st through 5th of July, we'll be posting updates every day.
Perfect. Because thank you for that, and that's important across the board because you'll be able to target men between ages 16 and 30, which are more than likely the ones setting off the illegal fireworks. Or even you could say, you know what, I'm going to target women from 40 to 60, which is the moms that would no, I'm saying that would be like, hey, I see with those illegal fireworks, if you set them off, you're gonna have a ticket. So these are things that, thank you for that it's important that we also monetize, because again, combined 50,000 followers, maybe 1,000 would see whatever we post, maybe 500 for on a bad day. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they're all going to see it because of the way that these social media platforms work. So that's just what I wanted to say about that. But thank you for that and for moving in that direction. And with that said, I think that was it for now on this. I do want to see again an aggressive approach, but I also want to keep in mind the safety of our officers and the firefighters, because that's also, I wouldn't want to put anyone in harm's way, because I've seen the videos shooting bottle rockets into the police officer units, and so if you could answer that, what happens in that case, please, Chief?
Yes. Briefly mentioned, we do have a strategic response, an incident action plan that's comprehensive, citywide, and it's not just the 4th of July, as was mentioned. It's an operational period. So it's several days leading up to it and then the day after. It is an all-hands-on-deck approach. We keep back some resources, but those that work during the day, say in investigations, they're asked to be reassigned for that operational period. We let all the unions know and everyone else, so everybody's on board, let them know well in advance so there isn't an issue. And so we're well staffed and planned for that. In terms of the direction is very clear that we are going to take a proactive approach early on, maybe even some undercover operations as well that you'll see advertised at the appropriate time, and then a routine patrol assigned citywide. And safety is number one. It is still rare when the public will turn on the police. That doesn't happen, often. But when it does, obviously, we need to respond and take control of that situation, not only for the safety of the officers, but for the community. And so we're prepared to do that. We will operate our Department Emergency Operations Center for Joint Unified Command. We'll have a watch commander on duty, a commander in the field as the field commander of all the officers that are out there. So we're well prepared, and safety is paramount. Unfortunately, it seems like every year there is, an injury that occurs to a child or someone out there. Last year was different in that we nearly had an officer have that stick of dynamite detonate on the officer's uniform. It got wedged between his leather belt and his uniform pants, and he was able to flick it away quickly. Otherwise, it would have detonated on him. So it is a significant safety issue citywide, and we take it serious.
Was that gentleman or woman arrested that threw the?
There were, I believe, 6 or 7 people that were arrested, but the actual person that threw that item at the officer was not arrested. It was just the crowd was just too large to identify that person. Yeah.
And one final comment. This might sound like a far-stretched comment or wishful thinking. Have we made any efforts to communicate with Border Patrol and the state of Nevada? Because I know that that's where most of these fireworks come from, just locally. Because I've lived in here my whole life and I've heard of people, separated from me that are like, oh yeah, so-and-so sells fireworks that he got from Nevada. Just drive down a couple hours and they bring them in. I mean, I'm not sure what kind of laws. I know they're legal in Nevada, but I don't know what kind of communication there is or what is legal in saying, hey, how do you guys ID people buying fireworks? If you see a California, driver's license when you ID them, they're not necessarily legal here. Don't tell them fireworks. I don't know what we can do in those instances.
Yeah, they conduct their own enforcement effort. It is certain fireworks are legal in other states. In Santa Ana, only Safe and Sane are allowed. But you can drive to Arizona, for example, and,
Yeah.
and go into a Walmart, and you're walking out with some pretty significant firepower.
Right.
So that's unfortunate. Yeah. So and that's the reason for looking at advertisement that may be an open source information on social media, where we can follow up and track and maybe conduct an operation and remove and seize some of that fireworks off the streets.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Thank you. Councilmember Iglesias, any questions?
Just a quick question. For your outreach, I know you're reaching out to like the supermarkets, the schools, and I know that most of the schools are out right now. But did you do outreach like to Garden Grove Unified and also like the charter schools that we have here?
I don't know if we have.
Oh, okay, so, but maybe for next year, if you can include them, like in the outreach, that'd be nice. And also the churches. I mean, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to reach out to them too. Because, you know, just a flyer, they could pass out the flyers too for you
Yeah,
guys.
and frankly, I don't know that it's too late to do that this year.
No.
We can
Exactly
contact charter schools and Garden Grove Unified and local churches as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know that we did reach out through Santa Ana Unified through Peachtree. Is that the resource for that and all of that? Because we're in those meetings and we talked about those things. So I know those went out before the school year ended.
And that's something that the city manager is saying, and we need to start including Garden Grove Unified in the charter schools too, even the private schools too, to give the all opportunity.
Well, you have another
Oh, I
comment or
just wanted
question?
to add to Councilwoman Iglesias, thank you for that. Also, Orange Unified, because I believe a couple of area on that side of Santa Ana, the schools are under Orange Unified. And that's why I'm sure you mentioned Garden Grove, because I know my niece lives in Santa Ana and goes to a school in Santa Ana, but it's in Garden Grove School District, so it's important to cover all our bases. Thank you.
Every year we're in the news because of the fireworks, and it's a little tough. Chief, you and I had a discussion this morning in our meeting, one-on-one. How many calls for fire do we have a year? You're very busy
Here in the city,
here in the city.
last year we had 550 fires.
550 fires, and
Yes.
then calls for more medical. We gave me some numbers. Can you?
Yeah, last year we had 33,000 calls for service here in the city of Santa Ana, in our division.
And I'm on the OCFA board, and I hear things, and I hear there's a saying they have in the fire service that Santa Ana still burns, and what they mean is that we still have a lot of fires here. And you and I were discussing that.
Yeah, you'd
and that was
asked me earlier
because,
about that.
And it's because of there's a lot of we're a dense population here in
Yes,
the
sir.
city. A lot of people are living in garages and makeshift homes, and they use candles, and sometimes they don't use the proper stoves. They have
Yes.
their own, and next thing you know, you got a fire going on. So 550 fires in this city. Last year alone, that's a lot. 33,000 calls for service, that's a lot. Then we also have medical calls, correct?
Yes.
So we have, and then man down, all those kind of things. So you folks are really busy. And last July, 4th of July, when we had, the events everywhere, you also have to stage, like at Centennial every year we have the fireworks display, and we have
resources and personnel
resources
out there to ensure that the pyrotechnics go
so
off
you
right.
kind of
Yes.
spread thin everywhere along the city. And then you get one major event, just like we did recently, and then we got problems. So, yeah, prevention is the way to go. But, illegal fireworks are already illegal. So,
Yes.
I've had people tell me, well, you got to just make all fireworks illegal in the city of Santa Ana. Don't sell anything. But I don't think that would get past the voters. A lot of people complain about the noise from these fireworks scaring their animals, their pets, and it's tough, and it's very, very, this is a touchy subject when it comes to this city, and so all we can continue to do is outreach and see any new things that we can do, like my colleague here was talking about, maybe going to more social media and so on and so forth, and I concur with that, just more outreach, and then we take it from there. But I want to thank you all the police department, fire department, and the staff for everything that you do, because this is a lot of work. And every year, this is a big headache throughout the city, and people do get hurt, and we do have fires. Do you remember, Chief, how many fires we had last 4th of July?
Last 4th of July, we had 41 fires on that.
41 fires.
Yeah, for about a 24-hour period from 8 o'clock in the morning on July 4th to 8 o'clock in the morning on July 5th. That was just the one day. We had fires, small fires leading up. Most of them were, a dumpster fire or a tree fire or something like that. We did have 2 structures with minor damage, a roof and some other things that were related. I would say probably all of those were a result of illegal fireworks.
Yeah, so it gets very, very busy, and we have to keep asking the public to please be safe. With that, we're going to move on to, is there any other questions or comments?
Just to clarify on my end, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, for looking at banning fireworks altogether, would that have to go to the voters? I wasn't not sure on that.
Probably be best bet to take it to the voters.
Ms. City Manager.
If you implement it as part of a charter, it would have to go to the voters. If you did it as part of your municipal code, it would just require an ordinance. I'm not sure how you actually implemented it.
Oh, okay. And I know that Anaheim has similar issues with fireworks. Can you?
Certainly. So Anaheim didn't even allow Safe and Sane until a few years ago, which they received pressure to because it's a great fundraiser for the nonprofits. So they did designate areas in the city that they're not allowed, even the Safe and Sane fireworks. So they have a lot of wildland interface in the hills area. There are no fireworks allowed up there. I will say what I've heard from law enforcement in Anaheim is when there isn't the Safe and Sane fireworks, there isn't cover for the illegal fireworks, so they don't see fireworks happening in the hills area. In the flatlands, they experience the same issues that you have down here. I live in the historic colony of Anaheim, and every night for the last 3 nights, I've been woken up with 2 dogs on top of me with fireworks going off all night long. So very similar issues.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to item number 4, and that is Deputy Chief Esparza.
Good evening. Thank you, sir. I'll be providing a update on our hiring efforts for the swarm position. So of our total budget at 383 positions, 322 are currently filled, and these numbers are as of yesterday, June 10. Those special revenue funds, 11, 7 are the Civic Center, 4 are for downtown, 2 for grants is the Homeland Security, and as you see, there are 61 current vacancies. Our projected goal for 2019, the big number around the Santa Ana Police Department, is 50 police officers, and we will get there, Chief. Thus far, we've hired 14. 11 of those are recruits, 2 laterals, and 1 academy graduate who is someone who put himself through the academy, and we hired him either upon graduation or shortly thereafter. The conservative numbers there are for June and July. I put 6 down for June, 5 for July. That's 11. We actually have closer to maybe 15, but again, staying on the conservative side because things happen during the process. Those are the numbers we're looking at. With that brings us to the anticipated number by the end of July at 25 sworn position hires. Thus far in 2019, we've had 6 separations. So when we say we're going to hire 50, we also have to consider how many we anticipate separating throughout the year to get the net total. IOD is officers injured on duty, so while we may be short, this adds to our shortages, and we currently have 6 officers that are off duty due to being injured on duty, and 2 that are in some phase of either returning or the injuries weren't as bad, and we do have them doing a light duty desk duty. A good note there is through our human resource efforts, in 2018 at this point we had 16 officers on IOD status. Our goal is always to accommodate their needs, their medical condition, but get them back to work as soon as possible. So now, comparably, it's only 8 this year. So there's 3 academy classes currently going on at the Orange County Sheriff's Department, which is our primary academy, and we have 10 recruits in the academy. 7 trainees in the field training program, with, again, a total of 17 in various stages of being prepared to be a solo police officer. We enhanced our recruitment efforts at least twofold from last year, and this is just a list of all the places that we send folks out to for recruitment, our recruitment efforts. As you can see, it's vast. We've expanded all the way up to Bakersfield, down to San Diego, the Marine Corps base. We get a lot of good recruits out of there. Those looking to come out of the Marines and looking for a job, we get a lot of good candidates out of there. So this, again, is just all the list of the places we go to. I thank you all for your youth and your knowledge of the social media, because here you see Yesenia does a phenomenal job. I had different slides up there the last time I was here in April, and you just see the constant updates. And again, I thank you for that, because it's definitely made a difference. And we're getting a lot of contacts through our social media efforts. And the key here is our Santa Ana Police Department website, just one click away from getting your application going. Through our support from city HR, the time it takes to become an officer and to either hire you as a lateral or get you in the academy is at least half the time that it was last year and years before that. But again, we've made a lot of improvements through our city HR and great collaboration with them to improve our efforts. Last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, I'm losing track here, but we had our Hiring Expo open house over at the police department. Great success. A lot of people showed up, but even more importantly, we had 56 people attend our Hiring Expo. At least 20 of those have sent emails asking questions and really eager. And they weren't all for police officer position, a lot of dispatcher, a lot of correctional officer, all the positions. And there's a picture down there at the bottom. That went on for, we were expecting an hour, and just the questions, it went on for 2 hours. So a very successful event. This is the same slide from last time, but again, these are the things that have enhanced our efficiency. The National Testing Network is online testing for those that want to become officers. We added a couple background investigators, 2 more sworn investigators, and we also have a contract background investigation, which we're looking to expand in the current year. This just captures the additions to our background unit here. But it also shows how many people are involved in this extensive hiring process, from recruitment to backgrounds to the actual hiring, and then getting them into training with the ultimate goal of being a solo police officer. This is a question, we leave this one on here too, because it talks about officers per staff, and you can see where we are, our population, and we're at about 0.94 officers per 1,000 residents. The average for comparable cities is much, much more than that. So with that, any questions?
Can we go back to the previous slide and just leave it up, and my colleagues have any questions? Councilmember Peñalosa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation. Very detailed and helpful. With the sworn officers that we separated from the 6, were those retirements? They left for other departments. They were fired. What can you just off the top? I mean, if you have that information with you.
Sir, there were 2 injuries, which their injuries weren't IOD, where they could return. They were beyond the point of being able to perform the functions of a police officer. A service, which means to attain the age of 50, like an honorable discharge, if you will. One resigned. That was someone in the appeal process. He just realized this job wasn't for him.
Well, I think that's the one you had mentioned right back in like March or April.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Actually, there was 2 service, which means again they attained the age of 50, and one resigned in the academy, which again just couldn't handle
Right.
the job.
Okay.
So that was
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Iglesias.
So I have two questions for you. On the Western States average, you put here, like Santa Ana has current sworn staffing of 318, which gives you about 0.94 officers per 1,000 residents. How many of those are patrol officers out in the field?
So we have 20 in command staff total. That includes deputy chiefs, the commanders, and so everyone else is either a supervisor or a line officer or detective. So in patrol, we want to hold a bare minimum of 100 assigned to frontline policing. But we look to staff at closer to 110. The key on returning officers as quickly as possible when they're injured, I think is a key factor. You see a 50% decrease from last year to this year. And I know the question has come up is, so what are the rest of the officers doing, right? Mm-hmm. And so we have a full service police department. So we have detectives assigned to various areas of specialty, a significant reduced number across the entire department. But in investigations, you have homicide, you have the gang unit, you have crimes against persons, you have sex crimes, economic crime, all burglary, robbery, all of those units. So in addition to just frontline policing, when a police officer takes a police report and he or she follows up as much as they can out in the field to solve that case, if it's not solvable, if the suspect is out of the area or what have you, then they write a report that goes upstairs to our investigations bureau. They have to follow up. So that's where the rest of our resources are and spread throughout the department.
So then that'll be 218 who are not frontline. That's how I'm understanding it, right?
I can give you the exact breakdown.
Okay, because that'd be very helpful for me to understand, because when you look at, we have 0.9 officers per 1,000 residents. In actuality, you don't. You have less than that, because if the ones who are not frontline in the eyes of the community, they're not really doing the people's business in a way of, things that we call for services. The detectives are not going to be the ones that are going to be responding. It'll be the frontline officers. So I would like to see how many would be, like, say, for frontline officers, how many would be per resident.
Okay. Yeah, I can provide you where everyone's assigned, but keep in mind that this Western States average is the total sworn force for any given police department or sheriff's department. Mm-hmm. And in each of those agencies, you're not only going to have frontline policing, you're going to have the various support units in investigations or administration. I have a commander, a sergeant, and a couple of officers assigned to our training division, for example, right? Who facilitates that training department-wide, so that we ensure that officers are complying with the laws and that we minimize liability exposure at the same time, right? We train to the best and latest techniques possible. So, in fact, I would present that everyone that's assigned to the department, irrespective of whether it's frontline or in a support capacity, they are supporting the people's work, because that frontline police officer is required to be trained by state standards, right? If there's follow-up that's required through HR or any other segment, we need to have a full-service police department. We can't refer out to the sheriff's department. The only service that we would call the sheriffs for is a bomb squad technician. That is it. Everything else is done in-house in the police department.
Okay, but if you could provide me with that information.
Sure,
okay.
Absolutely.
And then on the human resource division, the org chart that you gave us, so these are, how many officers are there assigned to the HR division?
So this includes the entire chain of command, including the deputy chief who's here, who's in charge overall of this work area. Mm-hmm. You have a commander who is sworn, a sergeant. This sergeant position was re-implemented into the organization, reassigned from an outside narcotics task force. A lot of dialogue with that outside agency, state and federal, And my position was basically that we needed to take care of our in-house first before we can help outside. So that position is back in. On the left, your left as you're looking at the slide, the senior personnel analyst, she's a civilian professional staff member, a supervisor level in HR. She works directly with city HR on our recruitments. The person under her, he's actually our field training program coordinator. So every time an officer is trained out in the field, they have to spend 4 months with another senior officer to learn how to do police work in our city. This position coordinates all the trainees throughout the city, that one position. In the center, Corporal Duran, another sworn position. That is a full-time recruitment position that we did not have about less than a year and a half ago. So anytime anyone expresses interest, that's the first point of contact, and or he's looking for proactive opportunities to recruit people into the organization, and not just the sworn side, but the professional staff as well.
Okay.
On the right, that same layer there, Corporal Beck, he's assigned full-time as a TAC officer to the Orange County Sheriff's Training Academy. The reason for that investment is we have a agreement with the Sheriff's Department that no matter the number of recruits, they will find the positions for us. Everyone is hiring. So even positions in the training academy are competitive. So in dedicating a full-time resource there, if Deputy Chief Esparza, his team has 6, 7, 8, 10, 15 recruits that all start on the same day, they'll have a position for us because of this commitment.
Okay.
Across the next layer, and I'll stop here, is the 3 positions on the left there, center, those are sworn positions, and on the right as well. We do have civilian background investigators. Those are on the lower left. And then, as was said before, we contract currently with 2 organizations to help us conduct our backgrounds, RCS and Arroyo Services. And we're looking to expand with one of those 2 who has been responsive to our needs. And then we have a part-time senior clerical aide assigned as well.
Okay. So then I counted 14 then?
Total
Officers?
positions?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
If that's the number, yes. And so the reason for the significant investment, this is another example. For example, one perspective could be is, well, these people the sworn officers aren't responding to frontline policing, but we have to invest here so that we're trying to address the 61 officer gap. So it is a significant investment. It's very much needed to accomplish our goal. Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Councilmember.
Thank you, Mr. Chief. And then these background investigators, they're positions that, from what I understand, they didn't exist, like you said, 2 years ago, right? You didn't have full-time background investigators, if I remember correctly.
No, we did. We didn't have as many. So we had essentially 3, and then a couple of part-timers. We've doubled that. We did not have a full-time recruitment officer, and we did not have a sergeant assigned to human resources either.
Okay. Thank you for that. I understand that we were trying to say with the ratio thing, which, it makes sense. So thank you for clarifying that. And again, I'm going to come back to the social media. I know that, thank you for holding that hiring expo. I couldn't make it that day, but I saw Mayor Pro Tem was out there. And it looked like a great event and a great turnout, so nice that we were able to do that. And I did see the social media posts. I believe I shared one of them. But with that said, if we're putting out these efforts, was there any money placed behind that post to really push it out there?
Yes, Councilmember, we did boost the flyer itself for the hiring expo and one of the videos to announce a reminder for the expo itself.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome. And you're working with we could discuss this later at that meeting, but you're working with the targeting, right?
Yes.
The specific
Yes.
groups. Because you could, and just so you know, Chief, you could go like I said, men 20 through 30, and tend to associate with more moderate conservative views you don't want to target somebody that is a 50-year-old man that wants to defund guns or get rid of guns or what, you know what I mean? It's like where you got to really get more bang for your buck. So it's important that we pay attention to those things. But thank you for that. And with that said, and that's it. Try not to ask too much about the social media anymore. Thank you.
A question for Deputy Chief Esparza, sir. How many folks do we have on our department that are of age to retire?
Our most recent count is, I don't even think it was that. It was in the 18 range.
18 range?
And even in anticipation of I'm on retirement age, I'm 52, but I only have 22 years on the job, because I started at 30, so that's the other variation. Just because they hit 50, you have to consider years on the job, because we have a few folks that started later. So the optimal time is 20 and a half, and then you get to retire at 50 and a half, you have a full 30 years. But again, I started at 30, I'm 52 now, so I only have 22 years on the job. So that was the other thing that brought that number down, that we really considered if they were going to retire in the near future.
So the anticipated number of retirements is 18?
I would say not too more than that. Obviously, the contract was.
Of course.
So there's all these factors that we take into consideration that they may stay a little longer.
Because for the last 3 years, our numbers we were losing between 28 to 30 officers a year retirement, and then we were hiring between 28 and 30 officers a year. Because I've been on this committee almost 3 years now, so we weren't really moving, making progress. And so now this, the new MOU, the new contract came in. So I was wondering if some of these guys were going to stay a little bit longer.
I think they will, and that's also been a trend nationwide. Perhaps the baby boomers, the end of it, those that were retiring, and we're starting to see lower numbers now, retiring all over the place. It's cyclical, and it's been that way forever. They catch up every 20 years or so.
So maybe once in 3 years or in 2 years, depends on how much time they have and how old they are. I'm going to be 52 in a couple of weeks. I'll have 30 years on, but I'm still not going to pull the plug yet. So it depends on where they're at. But and maybe in 2 years you might just see a massive retirement. You might see 40 people retire.
In anticipation of that, sir, we plan on 50 for at least 3 years. We plan on continue going on.
Yeah.
So if I may, you're actually on point in terms of the hire and separation ratio. If you a good average is about 25 over the last few years. So if we're targeting 50, our net will be 25. That's our target. And to get to 50 in one calendar year is a monumental goal, but one that, and really everyone in the department is working on as well. We also, as part of our efforts, have a referral and incentive referral program for any city employee, any full-time city employee who successfully refers someone for hire, gets hired. There's an incentive there as well. So, yeah.
Usually every report, and this one doesn't have it, I see a number of folks that have retired, how many they left. I think the last one we had, right? Not sure, but this one didn't have it. I was curious of where we were. And that's fine. We'll move on. Any other questions?
Really quick. And I think it's a good point to make, Mayor Pro Tem. And I think that's why I asked what 6 out of those 6, what were the reasons. But it would be nice to just have that breakdown, 2 retired, 3 were injured or whatnot, with that. And I've asked this before, and I don't remember. I might have, but I don't remember right now. With the recruits, that means we hire them and we pay their way through the academy, correct?
Correct.
And if for some reason, if I'm once they get their post and they decide to leave, I mean, is there anything in these contracts when we're hiring that we could legally do where it's like, hey, you know, if, and I know you said that if they want to leave, we wouldn't want to keep them here anyways, if right? But seeking reimbursement for those you know, that we hire somebody, train them, and put them through the whole process when they just leave and move to another department with our, you know, after we invested in them. And I know there's layers to that I know you've mentioned before, but I just can't remember off the top of my head. What exactly are those, Chief?
Yeah, well, we don't have contracts in place per se. About 20 years ago, things were so competitive, right? So competitive that, and we may be going in that direction, that as a new hire, you would have to actually sign a contract that you would commit to that agency for, you know, a year, 3 years, 5, I don't think beyond 5 years, but certainly a couple of years. So that is not in place yet in the industry. I have not seen that. But it has occurred in the past. It's not in place today, at least in Southern California that I'm aware of. But it's something that could occur again. Now, in terms of retention, obviously, you know, good working conditions, pay benefits. I think morale has a lot to do with it. And I think today, if you were to inquire across the organization, we have strong standing within the organization and relationships with the community. And in terms of retention on officers, I also conduct a chief's interview just prior to decision on whether we hire or not. This is after they've gone through a background and all of the different components. And I'm really looking for fit. It is a brief interview, but I think it's important that they hear from the chief directly, and I hear from them. And thus far, those that have been hired, you know, there really, unless the job really isn't for them. But if we do have someone leave the organization to another one, everyone here in this room that's part of the police department knows that I want a full debrief on what went into that person's logic to leave Santa Ana PD and the city of Santa Ana. We don't walk away from that investment. I don't take that lightly, and none of my folks take that lightly. So we want to know what went into that. And sometimes it's, we had one millennial, a true millennial, 21, 22, an agency was paying just a little more, And so vastly different organization and community needs and service levels from Santa Ana to where this person went. In that instance, the reference to, there's not much we can do there. But generally speaking, people who come here, they stay here because they recognize that it's a good place to be.
Thank you, Chief, for that. And I'm a true millennial. I live at home. I can't afford my house because the baby boomers.
My opinion is that if they really want to work in an active city, to say the least, they'll do it, and they don't care about the pay. Real, true public servants, that's what they do. And they'll figure out the pay later. Because if they really, really want to come here, and this place is very active. Santa Ana has a lot of pride. Our PD has a lot of pride. Yes, I work for the sheriff. I've gone to many different events, one of them being Baker to Vegas. And you could just tell the different agencies, they have so much pride, every agency. Santa Ana is always standing out. I always see that. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for the presentation. We're going to move on to item number 6. What?
Just really quick, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
No, and I think it's also important to remember that with the police officers, if a younger one, if I'm going to go to Irvine and make just as much or even more for do nothing, I'll not get fireworks thrown at me. That's also, people look at that, so it's important to always
maybe millennials look at that,
yeah,
but anyway.
Exactly.
Not the old school folks. Let's move on to item number 6, if we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. And item number 6 is going to be a homeless update from our homeless services manager, Ms. Hafsa Keika.
Good evening, council members and committee members. Thank you so much for giving the opportunity for the homeless update. Last time I went rapidly, and this is still going to be brief, but it's going to be an exciting update regarding 3 major items. One of them is going to be, oddly enough, social media in a way, because we're going to talk about our updated homeless data dashboard. So we actually, who's controlling that? Yesenia? Okay, great. So we receive a lot of requests as to, how many this, how many that, and in the spirit of accuracy, consistency, and transparency, the Homeless Division, in collaboration with, I really want to give credit to Daisy at the CMO's office and Stephen, had this vision of embedding an active update that's live into our homeless webpage. So council can anytime access the homeless data dashboard. This is just the cover page. Next, we go to, can you just, at the bottom. Oh, if you want to go back. Yep, that's one. So we went ahead and we updated our homeless fact sheet. Since the last update that I provided back in April, the homeless count was released by the County of Orange. I want to inform everybody, if they haven't already know, that the homeless count, not only for Orange County, but also for LA, San Diego, San Francisco, it has increased throughout the western coast. Last year, the County of Orange had a little bit of over 4,000 homeless individuals. This year, there's about a little over 6,000, about 6,800. LA County, to put into context, has about 56,000 people. We went ahead and extrapolated and took in comparison of the point in time count that we had. It is a little small to see there, but you can easily access this if you go into your iPhone or smartphone and just go ahead and go to Addressing Homelessness in Santa Ana. This page can pop up. You'll see that our numbers at the very bottom are the most updated Orange County point in time count number. It is released that we have 830 sheltered individuals. Unsheltered individuals and 939 sheltered individuals. So that's a total of 1,769. That is the most updated information of the point in time count that happened in January. If you look at the top row, that was from 2017. And the middle one was what we did back in March of last year on, or I think it was April, Easter weekend, that the city led. As you can see, our unsheltered numbers are exactly a comparison from last year to this year, 200. So we're really actually, we're having more sheltered people than unsheltered people. Can you go to the next one, please? Just click next. There we go. Oh, one back. So in the April council meeting, we received a request from the DICE on how many individuals are serviced by the Quality of Life team. As you know, the Quality of Life team has been recognized throughout the city and throughout the county as well as one of the best practices in addressing homelessness to not only mitigate the impact in the community, but also individuals experiencing homelessness. So this will be updated every month, and you're going to see right now for the month of May, the data is there on the number of arrests, citations, warrants, individuals who are accepting services, individuals who have been outreached, almost close to 300 individuals, and those who have accepted the link and the courtyard. Next, please. And of course, it all started with the link data dashboard. This has received a lot of rave from several different parts of the county. In fact, I just got word that the county looked at this data dashboard, is emulating it for their emergency shelters. Also, Irvine called me the other day and said, hey, they're going to start putting together an infrastructure and they want to start off with this data dashboard. And again, thank you, Daisy, for working with me after hours on getting this done. So this obviously gives you a daily dashboard. I receive this, I get this information daily from the Mercy House, and sometimes I get it at the end of the day. So this was for Sunday, and if you go to the next page, you'll also see a trend of outreach and referrals provided by different collaborative partners. Next page. Pets are also listed because, as we know, there's been a lot of information regarding the federal judge and ADA and animals. So we're just making sure that we're collecting all the information. And as you can see on the bottom, since conception or inception, we actually are on day 207 of the link, and 51 individuals have been placed into permanent housing. That is amazing. And if we could go back to the PowerPoint. I'm going to skip it to this family right here. It's kind of small text, but you could see it. These were one of the families that were placed into permanent supportive housing. And it's just such a beautiful story because this is kind of what we walk away with. This was a mother and her 3 kids who were experiencing homelessness. In less than 6 months, she entered into the link in end of November, and by early April, she got a 2-bedroom apartment with her 3 children. So that's a beautiful story, and there's many, many stories like that. A lot of results in homeless division. Not going to go too much deep into this because I do know that all of you have already received the information through our updates daily. So Santiago Creek cleanup, we had that in May, and a lot of debris. You see some before and after pictures. This was a 2-day big event that had happened, and a lot of rubbish and outreach to the homeless was provided. Many individuals were asked to receive services, and also law enforcement ensured that there was significant outreach for enforcement. Same thing, as you know, for railroad enforcement. At the end of last month, there was a 2-day massive outreach, and many individuals were outreached and sent into services. And of course, law enforcement went ahead and ensured that the individuals who had any criminal background were appropriately addressed. So that concludes the homeless update. I am happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Keika. Is there any questions from the council members?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for that presentation. That was a very nice put together. But I had a question with the Link success story, the family that you mentioned. In the paragraph that was in here, never talked about whether we helped her find employment, if she was able to secure a job, if she had a job. It talks a lot about securing vouchers for her and different services, but are we helping them? Does she secure a job? Is she working? Is she trying to, are we trying to remove them as well from the services? Because we should also keep in mind that these should be a leg up, not a permanent solution with the different services.
Absolutely. There's 51 stories, and so many have different ones. So in this particular situation, she was meeting with her housing navigator. I believe she had a part-time job. Again, this is a very small snippet. And by the way, I just want to say as a caveat, this family, anybody that I share provides consent. So this is obviously consented. I just want everyone to know that. And this particular family really thanks the city of Santa Ana. In the notable communication, I'm going to be providing another story of an individual who started with a part-time, got some rapid rehousing connections through Mercy House, and was able to get a job and sustain his job, learn the skills needed to be able to transport himself and get the bus tokens, and that is exactly what you're talking about. So there's many different stories. This is just another one.
Okay. And were these, since this family gave the consent, were these kids, are they Santa Ana Unified School District kids? Or
Yes, all of the children. And I know that, both of the council members here attended the tour that I provided last month that were all connected to as many resources with the school district.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
The Councilmember Iglesias.
So, thank you, Hafsa, for this presentation, but I have a lot of questions on the, I guess, and this would be maybe the police department too, on the enforcement side. I see that on the Santiago Creek cleanup effort, you provided some before and after pictures. I just want to know, how long did it take for it to get back to the before? Because I know right now there's camping again, and there's a lot of, there's accumulation of things that are not, it's a health hazard for our community. So I would like to know, how long did it take for for it to get cleaned up. I think it was 2 days, you said, but after that, I know right now there's encampments it's already back. So what is it that we're doing on the enforcement side to ensure that this doesn't happen again?
We do have in the proposed budget for next year additional resources for the team that addresses this issue, but it's a little bit of whack-a-mole. You go in, particularly on the railroad tracks, where we had only a single inspection warrant, abatement and inspection warrant, which allowed us to go to certain locations only one time to enter into private property to inspect and abate the trash. And, it was a short period of time, and the trash was back, and there were homeless encampments back along the railroad track. So it's a challenge. It's something that we need to address through a more comprehensive homeless approach strategy. I know you know what we're pursuing with the railway companies.
Yeah.
I think that will help out a lot. This particular location, the Santiago Creek location, the more and more that I've been looking into it, it really is a strange configuration under there, and the fact that the majority of it is private property, not city-owned property. So we did run into a little bit of problems because some of the cleanup work was conducted on private property, and those owners were not very pleased with that. So there might be some ways we can move in the future with at least securing that, since it is private property, better, and helping to address at least the reentry of the homeless.
Okay. But that you're talking about the railroad, and but how about at the Santiago Creek?
That was at the Santiago Creek. So if you actually look at a parcel map, it's very interesting. The trail that's back behind Fisher Park, it isn't on city property. It meanders through multiple private parcels. So we need to better define what is city property versus what is private property. We need to evaluate what's the value to the city of hanging on to the sliver of city property. Should it be all private property, and then it could be secured?
Yeah, but it's not the enforcement part, I think, is what's critical. Because even though if it would become private property, but it's still in an area that it looks like it's public property, and then it's vagrants. They're out there doing whatever they want to do. They want to, they're drug addiction. Some have mental health issues. So those are the ones that we really need to bring in, the County of Orange and whoever it is that provides those services. So my question is, what are we doing as a city to ensure that this doesn't happen again? Especially in areas like that.
If I might, the area you're talking about, and it's exactly what the city manager is saying, but you're talking about the area directly underneath the bridge. The properties that are sometimes in dispute and owned by the individuals, that's the area that is west of the overpass. So the area you're talking about is underneath the bridges, which, again, your original question was about how long was it until they were back? On average, it's about 2 or 3 days, which means that we as law enforcement routinely go back there no less than once a week to go back there and try to provide cleanup, and then go in and arrest the people that are there, and then we go back and we do it again.
So I think if we have something that it's more permanent on the security or some type of enforcement in there, I don't think it would happen, and it would be a better use of our resources. So I'm just wondering if we could even put cameras. Are we even coordinating it with the Cube? Are we coordinating it with Red Roof Inn? Something that we could have access to, because it's just, you clean it up and it's there the next day, and it's very frustrating. Very frustrating.
We have been pursuing those. We've been talking to Caltrans because the lighting under the bridge has been all completely dismantled, and the conduit has been stripped out. So we're kind of battling back and forth with Caltrans on whose responsibility is to put lighting under that. That would go a long way as far as making it a bright spot, which is typically where encampments don't like to form. But if we find a 100% effective solution, I think we would have served every city that's battling with this issue.
One other issue to take into consideration specifically with the Santiago Creek, what we would like to do is probably just fence the area off and make it so that you could keep people out of it. But because water has to run through the Santiago Creek, and we are unable to put fencing across the Santiago Creek because it will bind up and keep water from going through there and cause flooding, we are unable to fence that creek bed, which makes it difficult for enforcement, and it makes it difficult to put in those target hardening enhancements that we would like to secure the location over the long haul. Many different concepts have been considered over time.
Can you speak briefly on, so when you encounter a homeless person, it's not like you just get to arrest the homeless person. Can you talk about specifically what triggers an actual enforcement action?
So it might be best to talk about an interaction underneath the bridge. Officers go out there and contact individuals that are residing under the bridge. The mere fact that they're residing underneath the bridge is a violation of either the Orange County Code or generally a violation of our municipal code pertaining to storage of property or camping. The individual is contacted. As far as the COLT team response, people will come from the Orange County Department of Public Health, and we call them the blue shirts. They will respond out there to offer those individuals services. For the most part, as you can see, a majority of our homeless population is very resistant to services. With that being said, if they do not wish to accept services and go to either the courtyard or the link, they're generally issued citations. That is the total, they're issued citations and then subsequently run for warrants or other criminal history type of items. But after all is said and done, they get a citation and they're asked to leave the area. Whatever property they leave behind, we generally have to come and clean up. And that's when you talk about these trucks and trucks and trucks full of debris. Many homeless individuals make money by scrapping. Other homeless individuals, believe it or not, still suffer from hoarding related issues. So they will spend entire days, all of their time, just going around and collecting debris from all the different trash dumpsters we have all over the city. And then they'll take it to their location and they'll leave it there because they have a hoarding problem. Does that help answer the question, ma'am? Yes, thank you. Thank you.
So then, so we are going to be significantly providing additional resources to make sure that we provide security, that we provide better lighting for the, and it's not only in the railroads or the creek. We also get it at our parks. So this is an issue that it's a major concern within our community, and it's something that, yeah, we're supposed to have, love, for our neighbor and try to provide them the services that they need. But when they don't want the services, that is something that we need to, as a city leadership, we need to be stronger in our approach, saying, you know what, if you don't want our services, then get out of our city. Because, our residents can't sustain your lifestyle in the expense of our quality of life. Yeah, we do have a quality of life team for them, but what about our quality of life team for us, the residents? It just doesn't make sense. I just feel that we've had so many individuals that just are dumped in our city, and it's going to continue unless we do really do an enforcement of tough love. We're going to say, okay, we'll provide you the services. You don't want them, then you leave. But if you want the services, we're here to help you. And with the link, I appreciated the tour that we got, but like what Councilmember Peñalosa, his question is like, what exactly are we doing for them? It's like how are they going to become self-sufficient? Because we could only do so much for them, and then after, we're hoping that they'll be able to provide more for themselves. And what I saw at that link, it was more of a warehouse of these individuals that have a link to Santa Ana. Pretty much that was it. I didn't see a lot of, they're working. Are they going to school? What's a case management plan? And that's something that is missing. As you guys may know, I am a social worker by profession. So I understand the case plan, and I understand how we need to be outreaching to these individuals. But we're supposed to be giving them a timeline. If after 10 days, okay, we'll get your life together, 10 days. And after 10 days, no, we have to be expecting something from them. And I don't see that at the link at all. So I'm wondering what it is. I mean, it's just a little upscale of the courtyard in a way. You just have, a little bit more privacy for them. But we're really in services, we're not really providing much.
I mean, you raise some extremely important factors that the country's been struggling with for a number of years. A few years ago, they shifted the whole model, and it was a housing first model, and they dried up a lot of the federal funding for emergency shelters. Now the pendulum has swung the other way. We don't have the number of housing units necessary, and yet we don't have the emergency beds. So both the courtyard and the link, and as well as some other facilities in Anaheim and that are being built in Orange, they're emergency shelters. They are supposed to be temporary shelters. They're to enable the police officers to enforce the laws in the city as long as they have available bed, but it isn't a permanent solution. There is a big push, and I know that the council took the direction, and you just joined the Orange County Housing Finance Trust. There is a percentage, and I don't know, Hobson might know, the percentage of homeless on the street that will never be capable of actually raising themselves up and totally sustaining themselves. So there's a need for permanent supportive housing, and that's housing units that has wraparound care. So that's a big push right now to open up the back end of the pipeline, because what you're seeing are the homeless in these shelters, and it's a slow process to move them out to find them services and housing units. But they are intended to be completely temporary, and I mean, you've watched that we hardly had any shelter beds, and as a result of litigation and challenges, every city is scrambling to put together shelter beds when previously the model had switched and they kind of eliminated funding for shelter beds. So you raised some very good points.
Because I know that, like you were mentioning, like this, this family, they're eligible for CalWorks, they're eligible for food stamps, they're eligible for Medi-Cal. So there's, and even within CalWorks, their expectation is welfare to work, that they're on welfare, but they give them a certain amount of time for them to be off the system, because they should be able to get those skills for them to become self-sufficient and eventually just move up. But I don't see that with our current provider, with Mercy House. So that's a question that I would like to have more an in-depth conversation of what exactly is it that they're giving us for what, like $2 million, I think, that we're spending on, of our resources for them. So what is it that they're giving back to us? So it's not fair to our residents, and also it's not fair to the families, because you're just giving them false hopes, because they'll never be self-sufficient if we don't provide it to them.
We can provide information on all the agencies that frequent the link and provide services. And similar to the courtyard, they also bring in other agencies at the courtyard to assist with whether it's social security numbers, whether it's driver's license, whether it's Cal Optima registration, whether it's the housing navigation. So I would imagine similar services are provided at the link as well.
Yeah,
they might not have been there the day that you toured it. I know they have set days and hours that they come in.
No, they do, but I think we've had it for so long, almost 6 months into the link, so just, having 51 out of...
That's actually a pretty high rate to exit.
And I know, but it's 51 for we're already spending $2 million. For me, it just doesn't, it's not a high return on our investment. That's just...
All right, thank you for the comments. So, in the interest of time, because it's getting, a little late, I'm going to make some comments, and they're not going to be for discussion with my colleagues. If not, we can have another meeting, and we'll talk about the homeless issue. And I thank everyone for their inputs and great points, by the way, from both council members. Real quick, Ms. Keika, this family that we were talking about, are they receiving services? Well, go ahead if you can.
Yes.
I'm just curious.
Absolutely. Every single individual that touches or goes inside the link begins to receive services. Services start first of all through that warm handoff that Outreach does, and into the coordinated entry system, which is the national system to integrate into services. This family is then met with Mercy House's case manager. They're connected with Family Resource Collaborative. They're connected with whatever their case requires. For example, this individual, CalWorks and food stamps and everything that she needs in order to make sure that she can move on. I just want to say that that happened within 6 months. And there was an article last year for the Courtyard where there was one person, it took them 2 years to get into housing. This is a remarkable rate, not only, as you know, our city manager mentioned, housing first. So the services that they do get employment life skills. I've actually, I was considering maybe starting to put additional pictures onto our website where you actually have interactive life skills with employment case managers. I know that both the council members who visited, I know there was one particular individual that approached you and said, thank you so much because my case manager is connecting me to mental health services, to medical health services, to SPIN, to rapid rehousing, which are additional subsidy dollars for those who could qualify for working, to SSI. The County of Orange is there. There's a mobile clinic out there actually that ensures that people are able to get medication. A federally qualified healthcare agency shows up as well.
For this particular family, the one that we were talking about right now, how long have they been at the link?
Well, I believe if you open up the PowerPoint, it said November 28th was when she came in, and April 2nd or April 9th is when she got housed.
So she got her help and she's on her way.
Absolutely.
So it's a success story.
Very big success story.
But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Not all of them have a success story. Some of them, they have drug addictions and, and they have relapse. And relapse, from what I know, working in this field, is part of recovery. I mean, we all know, someone who's an alcoholic, and then they fall off the wagon, and next thing you know, they're down on their luck again for a while until they're ready to go back, and only that individual can change their life when they're ready. And then they're an alcoholic for life, or a drug addict for life, or what have you. And then we have the individuals who suffer from mental illness, and then they treat themselves with alcohol or drugs. And you can't diagnose the mental illness or even treat it because you're too busy. They have to deal with the drug or alcohol addiction. So I call it the double whammy because they got a lot of problems. So it's very, very tough. And I think our leadership here, is strong. Our leadership from the last council was we were trying very, very hard. We were getting sued. There was a whole bunch of things going on at the same time regarding this issue, the homeless issue, us being able to enforce our no camping laws, so on and so forth. And we have new leadership here now, and I'm very happy to work with them. They got some great ideas, but we are a nation of laws, and our police department will follow the law when it comes down to dealing with these individuals that are experiencing homelessness right now. They wear a uniform. They have a special authority. You can't remove someone or arrest someone or anything under color of authority the wrong way because you're going to get some problems at the federal level. It's very, very, touchy situation on that. It's not against the law to be homeless, but yeah, it's against the law for you to sleep on the sidewalk. It's against the law for you to be at the park when we have a shelter that you shouldn't be at, and we have numbers here to show for it. But a little while ago, our deputy chiefs were just talking to us about we're operating at about half of the officers that we're supposed to have. So it's very, very tough. And then we do have extended ETAs for extended, estimated times of arrival for an officer to show up. So there's a lot of factors that take place. But yeah, it is unfair to our residents. Hey, I live here too. I suffer from this also. I have a lot of issues because we are all residents here, at least us three on this side. So we have to take that into account. And I stand with Councilmember Iglesias also if they want to go to the Board of Supervisors and go there and talk to them. I believe in talking first. If you go up to the council and you want to, call them out in public, well, that's a little different. I like to operate the other way first. But not all of our some of our council members talk a big game, and then when it's time to go do that, you don't find them. I know you'll be there. I know I'll be there, but we'll see. And that's all I got to say. Let's keep pushing forward. This is not an easy, thing to deal with, but we will get through it. Thank you, everyone, for your input and staff. And we're going to move on to item number 6, and that's a discussion on the Family Justice Center from Chief Valentin.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Chief.
I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
apologize. I do have a speaker card here, and it's Mr. Peter Katz. So, Mr. Katz, you have 3 minutes. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what I said last night before the Economic Development Subcommittee. I strongly support the $300,000 to invest in the Justice Center. I think the money will be well spent. If you look at, and your police officers will back me up, but 50% of your calls for service are for domestic violence. We need a way to deal with this, and the Justice Center would go a long ways into providing the education and the cultural transition into it's not okay to beat up your wife and beat up your kids and take it out on them. So we need to work on this issue as well. This is draining the operation of the police department, and the number of violent incidents, it's ingrained in culture, and that problem needs to be addressed, and you can only do it through education and counseling. And so the Justice Center is successful in Anaheim, the one that's there, and it's been long overdue in this city. And I support you 100% behind this, and I'm glad this is on the agenda, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Katz. Chief Valentin, the floor is yours.
Thank you. No PowerPoint presentation on this. Was asked to just give some general overview comments on the concept. Last year, we actually toured the Anaheim, what is now referred to as the Orange County Family Justice Center. It's really an Anaheim-centered service provider is what it is. It was established as the Anaheim Family Justice Center. The Orange County came to the title thereafter, but in speaking to folks that work there and manage the facility and provide services, the vast majority of their folks that they deal with are from the city of Anaheim. If they happen to have somebody who's from outside the city, what they simply do is they call that respective agency. They would call us, we could go to their facility and conduct business there. But if that victim or witness is from our city, there's location issues, there's transportation issues, and the such. There is a need here in our city to put this service all under one umbrella. The numbers justify it. We have, for example, last year in 2018, 718 cases that were actually assigned for follow-up investigation. There's a lot more calls for service and responses to domestic violence-related incidents, but these were the cases that were actually identified that required follow-up. So the staffing for that today, the imprint there, goes back to who's doing what in the organization. There is one full-time detective assigned, and 2 police investigative specialists. So they're civilian professional staff investigators. So a total of 3 full-time people assigned to investigate 718 cases, 239 on average per investigator. That could keep you up at night. So a Family Justice Center, again, it provides all of the wraparound services that are required to address victims of domestic violence. And it's not just spousal, it can be child abuse, elder abuse. There's various services that can be put under that structure. The Anaheim facility is modeled after a very successful platform in the city of San Diego. In fact, it was the former police chief, John Welter, who has since retired, who brought that from San Diego to the city of Anaheim. I think they named the facility. He has a room that they. So you'll have a room, sir. At any rate, it is a very much needed resource. And one that we can look to strategize on how we can implement it. We have space in the police department. I know there are sometimes issues of, does someone actually want to come to the police station and come forward and be, provide a disclosure of whatever occurred to them, or do they want to be a witness, et cetera. There may be issues of comfort level to go to a separate facility, but then we're talking costs there, right? Not only in the people assigned to do the work, but then the facility itself. So one concept, and this is just preliminary, we can discuss options of beginning small and expand. I understand, according to the city manager, there's maybe another possibility of location. We can discuss those details. But first and foremost is there a need? There absolutely is a need. Another option could be, following up on the discussion that we had last night regarding substations. Could one of these facilities serve as a dual substation / family justice center? There's various possibilities. I like everything that's offered under the San Diego model. I would suggest that we, tour that facility as well. I could have staff do that with anyone that's interested from the council.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate your hard work on this and meeting with me numerous times. I've gone to D.C. and advocated also for funds so we can have this. I've also gone to the chamber and I spoke to them, giving them the big picture of what I had in mind, bringing one of these centers here to Santa Ana. They're very receptive and they want to help. And just like Disneyland over at the Anaheim Center, Disneyland sponsors one room. They have another company or corporation that'll sponsor another room. They'll offer the paint, furniture, toys, whatever they need, a desk, so they can help out. And it's a good thing. I've already spoke with our new DA about it. I spoke to Supervisor Doe about it. I spoke to Congressman Lou Correa, Tom Umberg. I had to make the rounds and go talk to everyone throughout the last 2 years. And some of that leadership has changed, but I went and met with them, the previous ones also. And yes, the numbers are high without getting into all of that, child abuse, elder abuse, sexual assault, and of course, domestic violence. And, we are streamlining services because some of these folks, it's very, very difficult when you have a spouse, a man or woman who assaults another person, and you get these mixed feelings. You're confused. Do I call the police or not? What do? I don't have a job. I wasn't taught to do this, or my mother was abused and she dealt with it, and I'll just stick it out like she did. And then at the same time, the children are there listening or watching. Even if they're in another room, they're still listening. And, there's a thing called trauma. That's what happens with these kids. And we need to do something about it. And if they're looking for help, and I know personally, when I started this 2 years ago, trying to bring this forward, I have someone here that works at the city who reached out to me privately, who said that the Family Justice Center helped them because they were a victim. And I wouldn't give up. I don't know how long I'll be here in this office, but I vow to do my best to bring this here. And if I can do that, I accomplish my mission. So, I know this works. These people need help. If they're looking for a restraining order, you have the DA's office there. You have the Mexican consulate there, give you a U visa. You have social services. You have all these other nonprofits that are helping to make this easier for this victim to get out on their own and seek help and get away from this problem. And sometimes they're looking for a restraining order, and it falls through the cracks because they couldn't get to the court. And we can fix that here. And those are my comments. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, City Manager. If any of my colleagues have a comment, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Vegas, for your leadership on this. I know you've been working very hard, like you mentioned, over the last couple of years, and I appreciate it because it's much needed in our city, in our community, and there is a need for it. So just wanted to thank you for your leadership. And I do have ideas for locations we could discuss later. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Iglesias.
Likewise, I want to thank you for your leadership on this issue, and it's more like a model, like a one-stop shop, right? And it's something that social services, they've been very proactive in providing that type of services to their, the recipients of their services. I'm very supportive of what you're proposing. I believe it's something that it's needed here in our community, and the fact that you've already have like the partners identified, I think it's awesome because then you know that everyone's invested for the success of this project. So definitely if you could incorporate some type of with the substations in there, I think it'd be great to see how because it'll be an opportunity too for the domestic abuse individuals that you want to be helping, and but if we could also just see if how we can incorporate some type of just services to the general community and regarding of, just services just to get a closer, more personal encounter in a positive way with our police department. That'd be awesome. But thank you, Juan, Mayor Pro Tem, for your leadership.
Thank you, everyone, and I could use your help on making sure that we have enough funds to move this forward. I know it's a tough time, but I'm asking for the help.
And if I may, and this is exactly what the Measure X money was intended for, in order for us to help our community and things that it's truly needed. So I believe it falls under, and it's an appropriate use of the Measure X money. So I believe it's something that we should all support as a council. So I'm supportive in bringing it back to us and as a council as a whole.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much to the both of you. Appreciate it. We will now move on to the committee members' comments. So if any of my colleagues would like to make a comment, or there's something you would like to see at the next meeting, great to hear from you. Councilmember Iglesias.
One of the things that, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. One of the things that I would like to add to this, if hopefully next time around, I know that we're getting cameras at our parks, and I believe right now we've only identified 5 of where we're getting cameras for. I would like to see a bigger presentation on how much it would cost to have cameras at all of our parks, and maybe in our pocket parks too. And I know there's different types of cameras, and then also there's this thing called the Blue Pole or something like that. That it has like a camera within. It has a 360 degree view of what's happening, because this would also help us with the homeless issue and also with safety in our community. So if we could have a presentation or have some type of or how the other 5 parks are working, then that'd be a good start, because I know right now we're getting it through, I guess, it's CDBG money. Yeah. But hopefully, if we can do something so we could bring in extra funds, maybe especially from our Measure X funds, to provide public safety, I would really appreciate it.
While you were sitting in this meeting, you did receive an email from the Parks and Rec director that prices out the cameras for you.
Great. Councilmember Peñalosa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to thank staff for all of this very informative all of these informative presentations tonight. Thank you. And just for the next meeting, I just wanted to see if we could possibly get an update on the graffiti ordinance that we had discussed at the last committee meeting that we had. I know we had discussed, or a couple residents of the community that had discussed and talked about how there was something put into place a number of years ago, and then it kind of just fizzled and went away, and then we were kind of just trying to discuss bringing it or enforcing it again, or doubling down, I guess. So just wanted to see where that was at, if we had looked at that again and whatnot, but that would be for the future, for the next meeting. So just something to keep in mind. But thank you, and hoping that we could tour that Family Justice Center in San Diego. That would be great and very helpful. So when we could schedule that, please. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Peñalosa. And my comments will be brief. I would like a report on all of our 10 fire stations that we have. We get about $15,000 a year to, for the wear and tear, maintenance, repairs, whatever they need. I'm hearing that we're having some problems and we need to address it. So, and some of that Measure X money goes to that. In there it talks about fire, and our fire stations could use some help. I know some of the firemen have been, thank you, some of the firemen have been doing some of the repairs themselves on certain things, and God bless them, but that's not their job. We want them to have great facilities to operate out of, and so we need to look at that so we can get a report on that. And also, lastly, the cost for OCFA has gone up for us, about $4 million worth, and I feel that I asked our previous city manager, Mr. Raul Godinez, to look into bringing back a fire, services back to Santa Ana, our own fire department, and that never happened. So I'm asking you for the same, if we could just look into it. I'm not saying we're doing anything, let's just look at some numbers and see what's going on. I know Placentia left, and I hear good and bad out of it. I don't want to make any of those mistakes, if there's any. So we need to see and we're not Placentia though, so we need to look at what kind of services we can offer our city and what we can do for saving the cost, because that OCFA, I'm one of 23 members that sit on that board, and if you want to do anything, you have to have 14 members vote with you. And it's tough for me to convince other elected officials in other cities who have great budgets to give me a break on something. We're paying for helicopters we don't use, we're paying for fuel, we're paying for retirements, we're paying for all kinds of things. And we should look at those things. And no offense to our chief here, but he's former Santa Ana Fire, and he understands what we need to look at these things. We need to look at the numbers. That's all I'm asking for. So thank you very much. Our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, September 10th, 2019. Everyone, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.